everyone, welcome to the Let's Make Lemonade show with Sharon Ngugi. Welcome to the second episode. And on today's episode, we're going to be interviewing an amazing lady by the name Elizabeth Nyambura. She's going to be telling us about her journey of how she's learned how to make lemonade out of all the lemons that life has thrown at her, especially with her body and her health. She's been through hell and back from 2002 when she suffered a stroke at the age of 23 years all the way to now, all the challenges she's faced and how she's managed to just see the silver lining in that dark cloud and be the best version of herself. I hope that you guys are going to enjoy this because she's going to be coming with her husband and they're going to be telling us about their journey of love and exactly how they met and how they've managed to just make the best out of their life. Thank you so much for watching this and I hope that you guys are going to enjoy this. So please stay tuned for more of this. So we are joined by the amazing couple here and they're excited to tell us about their story of how they've made lemonade out of all the lemons that life has thrown at them. I am super excited about this because their story is a beautiful one. A story of how they've been through the worst moments where they didn't even know they would get out of. But you see how God is amazing. Look at them right now. They are flourishing and life is just turning out. The silver lining in that dark cloud is finally here. And I hope that their story will inspire you and it will make you a better person. So I'll start with a bit of introduction. They'll tell us about who they are, what they do for a living, and just basically let's get to learn them on a deeper level. So I'll start with the lady, the beautiful lady on my right. She'll just tell us about who she is and just introduce herself to the viewers.
Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth Gitau, and this is my husband. And we've been through a lot, but God has been so faithful to us. And I hope as you hear our story, you'll be inspired. Yeah.
Great. So, okay, let's start with, you've said this is your husband.
Yeah.
I'm sure the people would like to know, how long have you guys been married? When did you meet? Let's just give us a brief background of who you two are as a couple, when you got married, and how has it been so far for you guys?
Okay, do you want to take that or do I?
Yeah. Okay, my name is James Jenga. She's my wife. And we have been married for 8 years. And we have one daughter. And okay, life has been good, but not that it's normal life, but sometimes with challenges, medical challenges, in fact. Because when I met Elizabeth, she had a medical condition, and it was back in 2012. She had a medical condition of kidney failure.
Okay.
So as we met, it was a little bit okay. I didn't know. The first days I didn't know the challenges, but she told me that the way she was working, she got a stroke back in 2002.
Okay.
So, okay, I was okay. But no, it was 202, but you're improving.
Yeah.
She told me yes. But there are so many things in my life, but you don't know. So, it came on one day, she got it, all the conditions, the problems in one plate, and then she served it to me. It was it was a challenge. That day it was a shock. Okay. But I said, okay, if this is your life and you've managed it, okay, God can do something in your life.
Yeah.
So after that day we started moving together, what. Then we came together and started a family.
Wow.
In 2015, there was another challenge of her condition because of losing blood in her body.
Okay. Actually, before we get to that point, people would like to know, you said she got a stroke in 2002.
Yes.
As you can see, they are a young couple. You can consider them young. I know people are usually 18 till they die, but they're a young couple. So when you say you got a stroke in 2002, I'm just wondering, how old were you when this happened? Exactly.
I was 23 when I got the stroke.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was working in a hotel in Mombasa, and I actually got the stroke in the office.
What?
In working, actually.
That's quite shocking because most people think that strokes are for the elderly.
I know.
Most people would think, when you hear someone got a stroke, they were around 60s. someone would like to understand why a stroke. Is it something that you had been struggling with for a while, or exactly how did you get to that point?
Well, I remember back in 2000, actually 2001.
Okay.
Was it? Yeah, 2001. I lost a sister in January and a brother in June. And then during this, actually during that time, I also lost my job.
Wow.
I wasn't sacked, but my boss was relocating to UAE.
Okay.
So that's how I lost the job, and I struggled getting another, but eventually I did, and hypertension started then.
Wow.
It was hypertension that gave me the stroke.
So
that was sort of
stress?
Stress of, yeah, I'd completely been drained because I've
Wow.
lost a brother, I've lost a sister, and actually even that, during that, coming from my sister's burial, I found my house broken into and I had been robbed.
What?
So I didn't have a place to sleep, but I had a very nice landlady who actually welcomed me to her.
Wow.
Even her, she had been robbed, and we were relocated to a place by her boss.
Wow.
So I stayed with her for about a month, and then I managed to pick myself up, and that was it.
What?
So that's where hypertension started. And then it flew all the way to 202 the following year, when that time I was working in Nairobi. Then when I went to Mombasa, the stroke caught me in July. Actually, July 31st.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked because I didn't even know this backstory.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been through grief in your life, you understand what it can do to you. It's something that nobody can ever explain to you. You
Very
see the way
true.
people will come and tell you, I know what you're going through, I understand. Most of the time they don't understand, because until you have been through death yourself, like losing a loved one, that's when you understand how intense it can get. So I really understand where you're coming from. So by the time you were getting this stroke, had you been told that you have hypertension? Because
No.
most people consider it a silent killer. So sometimes you could be walking around very healthy, kumbe deep down your body is just eating away slowly with this hypertension. So did you have an idea?
Yes, I did, and I started seeing the doctor, but the doctor said that I was going to be on drugs and all of throughout my life.
Wow.
At 23, that's not good news.
Yeah.
So I was dodging him actually, and I used to get a lot of
Headaches.
crazy headaches.
Wow.
So once I take the medicine and the headache goes, that was it. So actually I knew, but I was not consistent on my drugs.
Okay. So flash forward to 2002. You get the stroke. You say you were in the office.
Yes.
How did that feel? Like, can you just tell us a bit about that and how your journey has been since 2002 to the point whereby you met your husband, and now let's flow smoothly to that point. So getting the stroke, how was that for you?
I
And how
actually
did you
didn't know
get
it
it?
was
Yeah.
a stroke, because I used to get numbness on one side, and then there are times I could lose my memory. You know,
Okay.
I'm talking about something, and then all of a sudden it just doesn't
Goes away.
flow. It goes away. So I didn't know what that was, but I remember telling my HR then in Mombasa. He said, "Umeono," you know, as in there were so many cases of witchcraft and all
Yes,
that.
yes.
So he was saying that somebody was trying some fishy things on me. Well, that was his intelligence,
own superstition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But eventually I got to the office. Sorry.
No problem.
And I remember seated on my desk, I tried to, there's something I was doing. I was a business center coordinator. There's something I remember I was doing, but I can't remember exactly what it was. And I was not able to do it at all. So I flashed my boss now. He was a French guy, and he came and he asked, because there were clients in the business center. And so he asked, what is it? And I told him, I can't do this. So he said, okay, we'll talk once these people go.
Out, yeah.
Then he came once the people left. And I remember he looked at me and he saw things were not okay.
Yes.
And he called my colleagues to come and take me to the hospital. So I was taken, and the doctor confirmed it was a stroke.
Wow.
And he couldn't handle me. That was a doctor in Diani Hospital.
Okay.
So he couldn't handle me. I was sent to Mombasa Hospital.
Okay.
Where the thing got fully blown.
Uh-huh.
I got a stroke. I couldn't talk. I lost my memory for some days. I wasn't myself at all. So my sister is the one who was coming to say what I would eat, because even my memory was gone. So the nurses used to come and ask me, what are you going to have for lunch? And I knew what I wanted, but I couldn't say it. So my sister would come and say something like, say peace, because I love minjis. And that is not what I wanted to. And I would find myself crying, because I'm not able to communicate. I can't write. The whole of this side was completely gone. Completely. And my mouth was all hanging. The whole of this side was hanging, as in, I don't know how I can explain that, but it was a complete stroke. I stayed there for some days, and then they discharged me to go heal at home, because the bills were again too high.
Crazy,
And I could not handle it. That was a private hospital. So I was discharged, and I remember there's a guy called Michael. Michael used to sort of try to win me to Christ then. I wasn't born again then. So he had another boldness that I didn't know, that I didn't understand. Anything I prompted him, he would do. So I wanted to know his God, because he wasn't really showing me that he's winning me to Christ, but he had this boldness towards God, and I wanted to know his God. And so I called him. And I told him what I was going. This was prayer. When I was going through these challenges of my memory lapse and all that. So he told me one day, if it is anybody who's trying witchcraft on you, I'm going to use Godcraft against him.
Wow. Just a minute. You're going to use what?
Godcraft.
Wow.
I didn't know what Godcraft was. But later I got to know. Anyway, I got a stroke, and he came to see me in Mombasa. And this is long before I met him.
Yes.
Long before, because we met in 2012, and this is now 2002.
202, yeah.
So he came to see me, and he brought 2 cassettes. One by Bishop David Oyedepo and another by Kenneth E. Hagin.
Wow.
So I'm not working, I'm actually, my sister is supporting me in taking showers and eating and all that.
Yeah.
I started listening to those tapes, and I listened, and I listened, and I listened, and I couldn't feel, but I could tell something was changing in me.
Wow.
And that was my faith. My faith was growing.
Yes.
So I remember one day, I told my sister, I started trying to walk.
Wow.
I couldn't walk still, but that day I started trying to walk.
Yeah.
And my sister could not discourage me, because she also wanted to see me walk again, And I told her, I think I'll go to church on Sunday. I used to be a very staunch Catholic. So she looked at me and asked me, which church? I told her, Winners.
Yeah.
She looked at me, she didn't say a word. She was like, okay. And come Saturday, actually that was a Saturday. Come Sunday, and I was prepared to go to church.
Yes.
I still couldn't walk. I was just struggling. But somehow, she had a friend who she actually requested for a cab to come and take us to church.
Wow.
And we did go to church. And I was like, I think I like the word they're teaching, because the word is just
refreshing.
Exactly,
yeah.
Yeah. And that week, funny things. I remember I was really looking for a job, seriously, when I was told that I was going, my boss was relocating.
Yeah.
So a certain school, an international, actually Brightside, called me for an interview. And you see, still my speech is not fully back.
Yes.
My memory is not fully back.
Yes.
But I was like, I'm going to go for that interview. This lady called me, Elizabeth, are you still coming for the interview? And I was like, which interview? You were not told that you're required for an interview at 11 o'clock? I was like, no, I'm not aware.
Yeah.
But I can come if you change the days.
Wow.
And the days were changed. I was to go either a day or two after that. And I told my sister I'll go for the interview.
Wow. At this time, your legs are still not 100%. You're still
not even 90%.
Wow.
You know.
Wow.
But I was so engraced that I came for the interview.
Wow.
Well, my memory was not there. I mean, I wasn't fluent. I sat for the interview. I didn't get the job, but I'm glad I did because it gave me some self-confidence, you know.
Exactly.
I lost all my confidence actually.
Oh.
Yeah, because I never expected something like a stroke would happen to me.
At 23 especially, you know,
Yeah.
as we're saying, a stroke is something that people don't even think about when they're young. So you going through that at such a tender age, I mean, it's very normal for you to lose your confidence and to feel
Of
like
course.
everything is just coming crashing down, yeah?
Yeah, and that is exactly what happened. But when I came for that interview, it boosted my confidence a bit
Wow.
because I was completely gone, you know. So then that time I came to my friend's place. She's called Rosa. She's no longer in Nairobi.
Okay.
But I stayed with her for about 2-3 days, and then I went up country. Up country. My parents, you see, we had lost a brother and a sister.
Yes.
So my parents were not really willing to see me also going that way.
Oh.
So they really didn't want to stay with me per se. They love me so
Of
much.
course, yeah.
But now the memories
Trauma.
of that trauma. So I was falling away with them quite often. I remember coming back to Nairobi, and I would move from an auntie to a grandmom, from an auntie to a grandmom friends, you know. And I remember the last auntie I visited
Yes.
told me, you know what, that you are fallen out with your grandma and your family, I won't allow you to stay here.
What?
Not that I hate you, I want you to start your life now.
Oh, okay.
So she told the son, I'd actually put my, when I was moving to Mombasa, I'd moved the things that I could not carry to Mombasa to her place.
Oh, okay.
So she told the son to help me move them to a little house somewhere in Kawangware, where I was paying 1,400.
Wow.
And we did. And on our way there, actually my cousin is the one who was carrying my stuff. My phone was robbed. So I have no means of communication or anything. My phone just went like that. And now I am on my own. I went there. I remember I was using a jiko to cook,
Wow.
you know. And thank God it was close to my church,
Okay.
Winners Chapel.
Yes.
So I used to walk from Kawangware to Winners Chapel. And then I never told anybody that I've joined Winners Chapel.
Okay.
But then they said that for first timers, they were sponsoring them for Bible school.
Wow.
And I said, why not? After all, I'm not doing anything.
Yes.
And I attended class once or twice. And then a certain teacher, actually a pastor, called me. What do you do for a living? And I was like,
I'm looking for a job.
I'm looking for a job.
Yeah.
So he said, how do you feed yourself? And actually it was a miracle that I was eating.
Wow.
So he told me to come for welfare from church
What?
on, actually the following day,
Wow.
before classes.
Yes.
So I went. I remember he gave me something like 1,500 and then flour. And actually he asked me what I can do before I get a job.
Wow.
I told him I can cook mandazis.
Wow.
So he gave me some money to go buy flour and oil to make my mandazis. And I said I can also sell eggs.
Wow.
And that is what I started doing.
Wow.
Now in my mind, I know what I'm trying to be. I was trying at Strathmore to be a secretary.
Okay.
So making mandazis to go and hawk wasn't really something that my
Your
mind
plan?
was, yeah, it wasn't my plan. And my mind was also really sort of not accepting.
Yes.
So I would cook my mandazis and my eggs in the room and pack them nicely and walk all the way to Westlands.
Wow.
Where I would supply them, you know, because at least I had friends in Westland,
Okay.
and they used to buy them. Woe to me if I got people who would buy on that, because I would walk back. At least I used to get from the mandazis.
You get some
I would
fare.
get fare to go to class and go back home.
Yes.
And
Now for the Bible school.
Yes, for the Bible school. But anyway, that was it. But still, I could not raise, you see, mandazis.
Yeah.
5 bob, 10
Yes.
bob, you know. I couldn't raise 1,400
For the rent.
for the rent. So I went back to moving now from Actually, I remember I went all the way to Muranga, my cousin's place. But then when I was there, I can't remember how I got there to go to Muranga, but I did. I stayed for 2-3 days and I was not comfortable at all. So again, I came back to Nairobi. Now this time, I went to a friend of mine called Fatuma, and I was just visiting. You know?
Yeah.
But I used to carry a yellow paper bag with my clothes, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody knew.
Understood what was going on exactly.
So the following morning, of course, I'm carrying my paper bag again to go and look which friend to visit. Then Fatuma looked at me and she asked me, "Where are you going?" That caught me off guard. She told me, "But return that paper bag until you get a place to stay."
Wow.
So that was it. But then I was like, I'm Christian and Fatuma is Muslim.
Yes.
Where is this God? You know? So I decided what I'm going to do, go type for me, secretary available, Kianda trained. And then take this diskette, go and print for me as many CVs as you can.
Wow.
And she did. In the evening came. She brought that signage, and she had a brother called Ali. She still has a brother called Ali. And I told him to make a sort of A4 size board for me with a what?
stick.
With a stick,
Wow.
sort of a placard.
Yeah.
And he did. Actually, we were flowing very well.
Yeah.
So the following morning, I told Fatuma, I'm going to go to Braiban because I was living close to Braiban and Braeside.
Yeah.
No, not Braeside. Rusinga and Braiban.
Okay.
There was a kaslam there. So I knew. Actually, let me tell you the truth. I was like, all these obituaries. Do you want to tell me there's no secretary who's died? You know, that was my thought.
Wow.
And you don't want to tell me that these people who drop their children to school are employed. They must be bosses somewhere.
Yeah.
There has to be somebody who is looking for a secretary. So I decided that is between Rusinga and Brabant, there has to be somebody.
What?
So I went there, stood, of course. There was fear in me.
Of course, yeah.
This time I didn't know. I didn't want anything to do with God because He has let me down. You know?
Yeah.
But
And
when I got there,
actually, as you've said, we all get to that point
Yes.
whereby you feel as if
God
you're a Christian,
is-
but nothing is working out for
Exactly.
you. And the saddest part, as you've said, you had a Muslim friend,
yes.
and everything was working out for her. So you ask yourself, this God,
And she's the one who's accommodating me.
exactly, and
Yeah.
she's the one who's accommodating
Yes.
me, who's trying to be a
And
Christian.
feeding me.
Exactly, and that's very normal to
Yes.
go through that, yeah.
Yeah. So when I got there, I was like, God, give me the strength to lift. Who? God, give me the strength to lift.
Yeah. The
And I'm
placard.
telling you, He did.
Wow.
I lifted the placard, and then I had my CVs on this side.
Wow.
So anytime a car would slow down, I would push in my CV.
Wow.
And if you try to say that, I don't know, you guys, you know, that's what. And I stayed there for about 2 hours. Actually, I remember it was a big car. It was either a Prado or something. She slowed down and she told me, "Come in, into the car." And I didn't read. I got into the car.
You want her?
Yeah, I did. I got into her car, and she was like, "What is it that you're giving?" And I told her, "I'm looking for a job."
Wow.
Okay, what can you offer? And I told her I'm trained in secretarial, blah 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 blah. And she was like, "Can you do accounting? Can you do bookkeeping?" And so thank God we had done a little basic accounting. So I told her I would. She said, "Okay, I will call you."
Wow.
That is not what I wanted. I wanted to be told, "Report to work now." So
Such confidence, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I went back to my spot and I started dishing I continued dishing my CVs.
Yeah.
And then at some point I got tired.
Yeah.
And I went to a friend of mine who actually a neighbor who had been my neighbor, took a cup of tea, and then I went to Fatuma's place again. Thank God, following day, actually, Fatuma was doing some little bookkeeping. So I told her I gave somebody a CV, and she said she'd call me. And she said that bookkeeping is what she has. And I remember the last bookkeeping I did was in college. That was back in either 98 or 99.
Yeah.
And this is 2000 and 2000 what? And 3 or 5? 2000 and somewhere about. Either 4 or I can't remember the exact time. So I needed some refresher.
Yeah, courses or
Yes.
something, yeah.
Not necessarily, but somebody to just take me through bookkeeping, balance sheet, all those things. Fatuma did. Following day, the lady called me,
Wow.
come to work.
What?
And that is what I wanted to hear. So
Wow.
I went,
Wow.
and I actually, when I got there, she just gave me files. Do this, do this, do this, do this. That was, I was supposed to do, I don't know, balance sheet, and then filing, and what are they called? I can't, but accounts.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank God I did. And well, not in a day.
It took some time.
It took some time.
Yeah.
Then when I finished, the next thing now became challenging.
Yeah.
Because she started sending me,
Ah.
go to Thai embassy,
Okay.
do ABCD,
Yeah.
go to Ethiopian embassy, do you know? And I realized, and I didn't have a car.
Okay.
I actually didn't know how to drive then.
Uh-huh.
So it was quite a challenge.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk
Yes.
properly.
Yes.
And now you're sending me. I remember actually Thai embassy became quite a challenge to me because I had to alight from a 46 at Owens Kotek Road and then walk all the way to Rose Avenue, and that was quite a distance. So I told her, Rebecca, this I won't be able to do because of this and this and this, but I have a friend who is also who can do this. And she said, okay, bring her. And she got employed.
Wow. So you still retained your job?
No.
Or she took your place?
She took my place. I couldn't offer what was wanted.
Yeah.
So she took my place. That same week, a friend of mine called me. She's called Wangeshi. Did she call me or did I go there? I think I'd gone to visit my friends in Westlands. No, I was called. And she told me there's somebody who's looking for a business center manager. And I said, wow, I can meet her. Actually, they were working in the same building, so she took me. And when we talked to this lady, she's called Mrs. Maganjo, somehow she liked me. But then my look, of course, was not the best. So Wangeshi gave me clothes. I belonged to her daughter
Wow.
to go and present myself, and I did. She liked how I presented myself, and she gave me a position of a business center manager
Wow.
in Capital Center.
Wow.
Then, as I was working there, you see, I'm commuting from Fatuma's place, which is Umoja.
All the way to Mombasa
Mombasa
Road.
Road.
Yeah.
Don't ask me where I was getting my fare. Then Mishuki rules came up. You remember them?
Some. The belts. That's the one, the major one I remember. Yeah.
Because there were no matatus, absolutely. The only matatu that was operating Umoja town route was Double M. So we used to wake up at 4 a.m. to go and queue so we can commute Fatuma to Westlands and Elizabeth to Mombasa Road.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Interesting.
at all. Somehow, I managed to get a hostel right behind Capital Center, and I moved in. But that is after a struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, I could not commute anymore.
Yeah.
One fare, because I think we used to pay close to 100. That time it was 100 is quite a lot of money.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I got into the hostel, and I was just operating behind the mall to the mall, you know. So it wasn't serious for me.
Yeah.
But somehow, my right leg started bringing complications. You remember I had
stroke.
Yes, exactly. So I think it was either blood flow or I didn't know then, but later I got to know that it was blood flow. Blood flow. It started getting actually started darkening by itself. And then it would get so hot, very, very, very hot, that covering it with a blanket was an impossibility.
So at this point, you've gotten a hostel at right behind where you're working,
Yeah.
and it was a bit easier for you to get to work. So how was that for you working at that place?
It was okay for some time, not a very long time. But then after I started, my leg literally started rotting.
Wow.
So somehow I had to stop working. I quit the job and I went to my grandmother's place where I stayed for about 4 years without a job, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because I remember I didn't want to tell my parents that I was struggling, and actually they didn't know that I was living with my
Grandmother.
no, my grandmother had moved to Kirugwe where I'm born, so they didn't know that I was living in her place, you know. But I remember after those 4 years, there's a day I was cooking. I had made friends, of course, and we had joined. They had joined the church I was going to. So we believed in God and we were strong in the Lord.
Wow.
But there was this question: why isn't He coming through for
Exactly.
us, especially financially?
Yes.
You know. Then I remember one day I received a call. A call from one of my bosses. You remember the bosses I was working for when my sister passed on? One of his friends.
Wow.
And he hardly calls me.
Wow.
We had exchanged numbers when I was being
Way
sent
back.
to him. Yeah, way back. And he said, Elizabeth, why did you send Anthony to me? And I was like, Anthony? I didn't know. I mean, I've not sent any Anthony to anyone. Then he said, I asked him which Anthony. He gave me a funny name. And I was like, I don't know such a person.
Yeah.
So he said, are you sure? I said, no, I don't know such a person. Okay, I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Then the minute he got back to me, he said, Elizabeth. It wasn't Elizabeth, it was another Elizabeth.
Okay.
Listen, have you heard Fatuma has been sick? You know Fatuma? I said, yeah, I was with her the whole of last week. I had gone to see Fatuma because she's been sick, and had used the God craft I mentioned in the beginning, you know,
Wow,
anointing
yes,
oil.
yes.
I anointed her, and I remember her telling me to get anointing oil for her.
Wow.
You know? And he said, can you sit in for her? I
Wow.
was like, yeah. And I said, yes, I can. He said, if you can, you come tomorrow morning.
Wow.
But I didn't have any money on me. I didn't even have a 20 shilling to buy anything, you know. So I went to a shop, borrowed 20 shillings. I remember during these 4 years, I was trying to do multi-level marketing. And at least I was making something, although now not something you can rely on.
Sustainable.
I had made about 3,000. So I bought the 20 bob. We used to pay 10 bob to town then. I went to town, Norwich Union, collected my money, and then I went back. I was going to go to work the following day. And I did. So at the reception, I found somebody called Rosemary who told me, if I'm the one who's been sent by David, then I should start helping her right away.
What?
And I started picking phones.
Wow.
You know, and anything else you wanted me to do, you know. And that's how I got my job. And that is where I am to this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think as I listen to this lady, all I can think about is when God sends you somewhere, His grace always sustains you.
It is.
You go through so much in life. You go through points whereby you're questioning God and you're wondering, is this God real? Like, I have served you, I have believed in you, I have always, you're even saying, you go to a point where you're even spreading the gospel to your friends.
Yes.
Like Fatuma, when she was sick, you even went with anointing oil and you prayed for her. So, I just want to encourage, even as we continue with the interview, whatever it is you're going through, when God says yes, no one can say no. And I mean, she got a call out of nowhere. It was at first mistaken identity, and this mistaken identity ended up being the job where she's been working at till date. So whatever it is you're going through, imagine once God says yes, no one can say no.
Yes.
So flash forward, you get the job. Then you said when you were starting that you met your husband in 2012.
Yes.
So was this after you got the job, or at what point
I got the
exactly
job
did
in
you meet?
2008.
Okay,
Yeah.
208. So
Yeah.
let's move to that point whereby had you been in a point where after all you had been through at such a young age, you know, most people are saying, I want to get married at 25 years, I want to get married by 30. For you, was marriage ever at the top of your mind, or what was your vision towards
never
it?
ever in my mind. I actually remember my mom sitting me down and telling me, because of the condition, my BPs used to go crazily high.
Yeah.
230 over 170, you know. I mean, She said I couldn't get a child plus now I have kidney failure.
Yeah.
When did I get kidney failure? 2-5.
Okay. You can tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. I remember when I was at home, I used to go for physios. Then I'm just rushing the story.
Yeah.
I remember they sent me to Kenyatta to go and see a neurosurgeon. When I did, he said he sent me to a nephrologist who said I had kidney failure and I needed to start dialysis in 2-5. But then again, I took off because dialysis to me was the end.
That's it.
That's the end. I took off. I never saw that doctor again until 2011.
What?
Yes.
For 6 years you had kidney failure?
Yes.
Can't you see this is a miracle lady right here? She had kidney failure for 6 good years and you didn't do dialysis for a single day.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
Exactly. So then now 2011, I'm at work. No, you see, my mom had told me that I wouldn't be able to get a baby. And so I was like, even the way I looked actually, you're limping. I remember, I used to model. So now being trained to walk was really getting into my head. So even my looks and remember I was living without a job in Gitau for 4 years. My looks was, I didn't think I'd get somebody to love me at all. So marriage was not anywhere near me. And I committed myself to God completely. So all I knew was I'm serving God and that is it. I won't get a baby. I won't get a husband. That will be my life. Yeah.
Wow.
But then,
Wow.
in 2012, when did we?
2011, I think in August. In Facebook, we started chatting.
Wow.
On Facebook. So I saw a photo. I think she attended a wedding. So I thought, wow, she's communicating like she's single. But I can see a photo.
Yeah.
I think she's married. So I was putting
You're
her
keeping
off.
off, yeah.
Because I don't want those. Then there were these people who hack Facebook.
Yes.
They used to hack Facebook and then they put some pornography.
Yes.
So, and then she called me in the evening. What are you doing in your Facebook? What is this? So, hi. It's me who usually chat on Facebook. You have something on your wall. And then she hung up. And then I was tracking that number. I didn't know it was an office. It was an office number. So when the minute I called that number, it's always busy. So even I thought, even her, okay, there are those people who. Then we started chatting. It was 2011, but on 2012, she was being ordained in a church. She invited me, but I didn't show up. So and then she told me, you didn't come to my ordaining when they were ordaining me in the church. Okay, I'll come. Invite me again then. So she invited me. It was here in Kikuyu. She told me, she gave me directions. And she asked me, do you know well Kikuyu well? I told her, yes. I used to live there. Kitambo. And I came to the church. She didn't recognize me because she had never seen me
in person.
Yes. So in the church, I think this is the guy. She was sitting in front of me. And then she turned back. What? And then she was trying. I think she was nervous.
Oh.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And the pastor told her, invite your friends. I think you have come with your friends here. Invite them to say hi to us. And I stood up and then I said hi. I'm Elizabeth's friend, and she invited me to church. And that's all. My name is Jane, so I introduced myself to the church. Then after the service, she came to me. In fact, she was sweating. In her hands. Nervous.
Yes. I didn't know he would turn up.
We chatted there outside the church, and then told her maybe right now I'm going for a meeting somewhere, which I was not going for a meeting. It was a lie.
He was also very nervous.
I'm going for a meeting.
Oh my God, yeah.
Maybe we will see each other again.
Yes.
Okay, I left her in the church, so I went back home. So I was wondering, oh, okay. maybe I should ask questions.
Yeah.
Or maybe I should keep quiet until they show up. So after a week, that week, the coming week, she called me on Thursday.
Yes.
She told me, "How are you? We didn't manage to talk well." Well, I told, yes, even right now. Can I call you later? Can I call you? Because
You were still very nervous at this
Yes.
point.
yes.
Wow.
So I was wondering, maybe I should ask questions
Yeah.
through phone or physically.
Yeah.
So I told her. I called her on Friday morning. I told her maybe I can come on to the church this Sunday, this coming Sunday. So okay, I'll be there. So I went ahead before her. I know Kikuyu well.
Yes.
I'm raised here in Kikuyu.
Okay.
So she didn't know Kikuyu well. So I went before her to that church. In that road, I saw her coming from that bridge, the footbridge. And then I told her, hi. So we went through the road talking, what. She was happy. We went the church service. No, coming out from the church service, she told me they have to do some cleaning, and then we go home. So I said, okay, I'll wait for you.
Aww.
So the time we were from the church to home, we went to the stage bus stop. This we alighted to Kino. Kino. So we bought some. She bought some vegetables and what. I bought for her fruits.
Wow.
Okay, we went. She was okay. These are strangers buying for me fruits.
Yeah.
Okay, I told her no. That's from here. So are you okay going home? No. Come for a cup of tea.
Wow.
So that's the time where we started
Going on dates.
Going on dates. Then from there. Now I didn't know about her condition, but I was trying to ask.